Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the listeners. This is Subhash Chandra from Singapore. I welcome all of you to this discussion, this forum. Today, our topic is specifically related with Vihangam Yoga meditation practice. The 5 stages, the 5 levels of Vihangam Yoga meditation practice. We have our experienced speakers today, and we'll talk more about that. But before we start, I would like to request all the listeners to put their questions on slido.com as well as on WhatsApp number. If you have any query, please put your doubts on that. Today, the topic is very interesting, especially for me as well, because the 5 level of Vihangam Yoga meditation practice actually will give you the complete picture of the process of Vihangam Yoga concept. How Sadhguru Siddhafal Devji Maharaj has given each and every bits and piece of detail about the meditation practice for the self-realization, and beyond that will be described today. And we have Vijay Kumar ji from USA, New Jersey, who is basically a software engineer based in New Jersey. He currently is holding the role of president of North America Institute of Vihangam Yoga. His whole of his family is associated with Vihangam Yoga since long, long ago, and they have served all 3 generations of Sadhgurudev. Welcome Vijay ji to this forum today, where you are going to describe in more detail about the 5 stages of Vihangam Yoga described by His Holiness Sadhguru Siddhafal Devji Maharaj. Over to you, Vijay ji.
Thank you, Subhash, for having me here. Sadhguru Pankaj Charan Raja Vanda Parama Punita Jahi Kripa Bhava Dukha Mite Bhakti Mile Satajita मोह पुंज तम जगत निशी रवि गुरु वचन प्रकाश निज स्वरूप वास्तव मिले सार शब्द करवास. 5 stages of Vihangam Yoga meditation. Well, what drives majority of the human race towards the materialistic prosperity? This is a question to all of you. What drives majority of the human race towards the materialistic prosperity? Of course, it is the hope to be able to deny any obvious suffering and to fulfill small or big desires, isn't it? No doubt, with each passing centuries, scientific discoveries and gadgets have gifted the human race with more convenience to lean on. Yet, it could only succeed in translating one type of suffering into another type. You must agree on that. What a human being failed to address with any materialistic prosperities are best represented by these fundamental questions. 1. Is your mind and thought completely under your control? 2. Is your thought always virtuous and pure? 3. Could you ever break out of the limits of indriyas to experience what exists beyond the dimension of your physical senses. For example, could science ever reveal the consciousness that you are? 4. You could gather the best materialistic comfort from the creation. However, could you ever get the touch of the vast consciousness that pervades through the earth, the water, the fire, the air, and every coordinates of the space? 5. Where to find the ultimate bliss that is never ending and overwhelming? These are the 5 questions at at the list. These are the 5 questions where the materialistic science stands dumb in complete helplessness. But 5 stages of Vihangam Yoga meditation, reviving the lost science of consciousness, come to rescue. So, dear friend, the 5 stages of Vihangam Yoga is to reveal another science called science of consciousness. Let us understand each stage one by one. Stage 1, meditation. Well, majority of the folks resort to meditation only for reasons related to the uncontrolled mind, as they all know that once mind is in control, unimaginable wonders can be achieved by a human being. But the question is your mind and thought completely under your control? Scripture says mind can be controlled with abhyas and vairagya. Abhyas means practice and vairagya means detachment. Repeated practice and detachment are like 2 wings of a bird. Therefore, one without the other is insufficient in making you progress towards mind control. So the question is, which technique do we need to practice repeatedly in order to control the mind? The technique to control the mind is what is the subject of Vihangam Yoga Stage 1 meditation. Now, along with the technique, there is a huge importance of reading the wisdom from Svarved for the first stage practitioner specifically, for the reason that it helps developing right perspective towards what is eternal and what is ephemeral, temporary. Regular reading of Svarved not only helps develop detachment, but also imparts motivation for the practice of meditation every day twice. What makes Vihangam Yoga Stage 1 succeed in controlling the mind is the fact that it is built on the wisdom over a fundamental question. The fundamental question that everyone who wants to learn meditation should ask: where does the mind reside in the body? If you want to control the mind, shouldn't you know this? Where does the mind reside in the body? Therefore, Vihangam Yoga Stage 1 meditation does not grope in the darkness, but it does what exactly is needed to control the mind after knowing the mind's whereabout. So I repeat, is your mind and thought completely under your control? If not, you need to begin the journey of Vihangam Yoga through the initiation in its first stage. Let's talk about stage 2 meditation. Stage 2 meditation is the technique to purify the mind. The question is your thought always virtuous and conducive for the spiritual well-being? Sadhguru Sudhafaldeji Maharaj writes in Svarved, he says, मना क्षणिक वैराग ले चढ़े उतुंग आकाश तुरत राग में गिरत है सद्गुण जीव विनाश. At times we feel virtuous and inspired for the meditation and spiritual practice, and very next moment a worldly thought triggers and derails us from the practice. We are mixed of sadguna and durguna, the good and bad. Therefore, after attaining the concentration through stage one is initiated into stage two meditation, in which mind is controlled inside in the trijunction of Ingala, Pingala, and Sushmana nerves, where mind takes bath in the experiential sound of Om to attain purity. So, while stage one is to control the mind outside, stage two is to control it inside in inner Triveni, the trijunction of Ingla, Pingla, and Sushmana nerves. What results out of stage two practice is the rise of virtues conducive for spiritual enlightenment. Let us enter into the third stage of meditation. What is the third? What is the stage three meditation for? Well, notice the domain of experience you are limited to. You experience only the external subjects that are within the reach of the five sensory organs. The question is not this a very irony that you are a conscious spirit, yet you are deprived of the experience of consciousness? What an irony. Sadguru Dafal Devji Maharaj writes in Swarved, पाट बंद है गगन का बाहर रूक प्रकाश अंधकार अंतर रहे मोह कर्म जगपाश. As long as the secret 10th door in the human body is closed, we fail to see what exists inside, and hence we remain hunting the happiness only in the external subjects which are reachable to our senses. There are 9 doors in the human body which are open. 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, mouth, and 2 organs of excretion. There exists another secret door, the 10th one, also known as Dasham Dwar, Brahmarandra, or Haridwar, which is located at the end of Sushmana nerve over the top of the head. The secret 10th door is closed by the serpentine entity called Kundalini. Only when Kundalini awakens, the 10th door opens and one acquires the vision to experience consciousness. The technique for the Kundalini awakening is taught in the third stage of Vihangam Yoga meditation. Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj describes Kundalini awakening in Swarved. He says, Kundalini dwara taje खुलत सुषमनाधार अंतर गर गर शब्द हो यह लक्षण शुभसार. What an amazing, vivid description of this. What makes Vihangam Yoga special is the experiential details of meditation. Have you ever heard before what happens during Kundalini awakening and what happens after Kundalini awakening? In this doha, in this couplet, Sadguru Dafal Devji Maharaj clearly describes that when Kundalini leaves the way, the exit door of the Sushmana nerve opens for consciousness to flow through. And with the free flow of consciousness through Sushmana, gur gur kind of sound happens. Gur gur kind of sound happens. Who can say this? The point to ponder over here is this: only a yogi who has experienced Kundalini awakening himself can describe this in such a minute details. And what happens after Kundalini awakening is mesmerizing. Swarved says, खुले अधर किवाड़ जब अंत मिटे अंधियार अंतर दृश्य विलोकिये रचना अपरंपार. It is only after Kundalini awakening that the darkness around soul vanishes completely, and one creates the opportunity to experience supremely divine almighty just very within. So to summarize, third stage of Vihangam Yoga meditation is to awaken Kundalini for transcending into the experience of conscious entities. What is the fourth and fifth stage meditation in Vihangam Yoga? Well, please pay attention to your body. You must have a direct experience about how you are controlling your body. You, with the help of mind, are controlling the body. You, the consciousness in the body, is the reason for the body to be lively and responsive. Can a dead person move or talk? Obviously not. It cannot. So while you as a conscious spirit guide your tiny piece of flesh and blood into any activity, which consciousness governs all forces in this vast creation? How eventually there was a big bang in the mass of fundamental ingredients of creation, which were idle and inert otherwise? What is behind a constant vibration in each coordinates of the space? The answer lies in a supremely conscious entity called Akshar Brahm, who is the cause of creation and dissolution of this universe. While scientists still hunt the answer for the source of vibration in the space, Sadguru Sadafaldevji Maharaj writes in Swarved. He says, Akshar mahi kamp hai, maya yog vikash, सृष्टि के प्रादुर्भाव है अक्षर जग प्रकाश, परमाणु के योग से महमंडल आकाश, अक्षर कंप से होते है सृष्टि सकल अवकाश. Vibration in each coordinate of the space, and the reason for the inception of the creation is the vibratory energy of the supremely conscious Akshar Brahm, which is the subject of experience in the fourth stage of Vihangam Yoga, wherein the experience of pure consciousness begins. In fourth stage, consciousness of the spirit isolates from the mind and prana and acquires the free state of being. Being dissociated from the mind without having any connection with the mind, all gross experience vanishes. All the grossness from our experience vanishes at that point. And what remains is the experience of consciousness pervading through the entire cosmos. The supreme conscious form of Sadguru guides in that abode, clarifying that the consciousness of Almighty is yet more subtle than this vibratory experience of Akshar Brahm that you are having right now. So this is where Sadguru guides the practitioner into the fifth stage of Vihangam Yoga. The fifth stage of Vihangam Yoga is to attain the purest form of consciousness, where individual consciousness unites with the vibration free, universal consciousness of Almighty and floats in the bliss ocean like never before. So, to summarize, first stage of Vihangam Yoga meditation is for mind control. Second stage is for purification of the mind. Third is for Kundalini awakening. And fourth and fifth for diving deep into the realm of pure consciousness, wherein one realizes the conscious form of soul, conscious form of Akshar Brahm, conscious form of Sadguru, and conscious, supremely conscious form of Almighty. The entire journey of Vihangam Yoga meditation is led from front by Sadguru energy. It is impossible for practitioner to establish consciousness in any of these 5 stages without the mercy of Sadguru. And hence, Sadguru is all in Vihangam Yoga meditation. Therefore, true aspirant of wisdom, true aspirant of all-round prosperity, devotion, and liberation must surrender to the able Sadguru. Jai Sadgurudev. Over to you, Subhash.
Thank you very much, Vijay ji. Very clearly, you have mentioned each and every 5 different stages of Vihangam Yoga. We will discuss in more detail with some question and answer session where I have already seen some questions in Slido. We will discuss more. There are some interesting questions, and Dr. Hemant Kumarji will also join us for Q&A. There are few questions on the slido.com, and I have noted few questions on my own as well. Based on our timeline, probably I would ask 3 questions, but I guess all those 3 questions are very, very core questions, I believe. So, Dr. Hemant Kumarji, I remember at one place, Swamiji Sadhu Sadafal Devji Maharaj has mentioned in Swarved, one doha, one couplet, and that is, Durlabh yah nar deh hai, ekadas hai dwar, Shushman daswaं dwar hai, Hat yogi paithar. So here, what I could recollect is that the awakening of the Kundalini, Hat yogis are able to awaken it with rigorous practice and other things. So my question here is to you, Dr. Hemant Kumarji, is how Vihangam Yoga meditation practice, all these 5 stages, is really different from the other practices.
Thank you very much, Vajji. Actually, the question is extremely important and it applies to all of us. Vihangam Yoga is unique in every sense, right from first to the 5th stage, which Vijayji just mentioned in a very clear way, and every message was loud and clear. Where the very first stage is talked about whether we have the mind and thoughts in control. So any practices which you're doing, which you've been doing right now, if you can compare whether you have your mind and thoughts in complete control, whether you've purified your mind, are you free from the vices of the mind? Samskaras has also a role to play. So have we understood that? Have we experienced that? Vihangam Yoga comes with a meditation where you actually clearly experience and see how the mind control is happening. It happens at a point. And you see how you are getting rid of all the vices of the mind. And that happens with the blessings of Sadguru Dev. And then the 10th secretive door. Navadwara sansara ka dashwa yogi tar. Ekadas khidki bane shabd mahal suksar. We just heard that there are 9 doors in this body, but there is a 10th secretive door. And then there is a door beyond, which is the Ekadash, the 11th. How clear an explicit description of experience which Sadguru Shadafal Devji Maharaj achieved in the state of samadhi from 17 long years of penance. It has been clearly brought out in Swarve. And not only that, there's one aspect where you learn the theories, but the unique aspect of Vihangam Yoga, it does not talk about just the theory. It teaches you the meditation technique, the point of concentration, and the process, the methodology, the procedure, so that you also experience the same thing. अद्भुत मार्ग योग विहंगम मैं तुमको बतलाऊंगा यदि विधिवत तुम साधन करियो अमर लोक पहुंचाऊंगा. So right from control of mind to its purification, Kundalini awakening, opening of the 10th door, the Sushmana, that's when it happens. Swamiji writes, Bina Shushmana sadhana dambha, bhatki rahe jag prakrit rambha. Until a Sushmana happens in you, there is no question of any meditation. And we remain ignorant about the conscious zone that engulfs all of us. See, we all know that this world, in this physical world also, there is Sabda, which is the Lord Almighty, which is in there, but in a very subtle form. We are engulfed by that conscious energy. We are living inside that conscious energy, and yet we are unaware of that energy. How disconnected are we? शब्द शब्द सब जगत बखाना सार शब्द नहीं पावा हो बिना गुरु कोई भेद न पावे धोखे जन्म गवाया हो. So without Sadgurudev, you cannot experience that very subtle form of conscious energy. So one physical world we all see around us, but the other conscious world we can't see. We can't experience. That happens through Vihangam Yoga technique. And that's what Vihangam Yoga practitioner is actually achieving as we speak. And the happiness which we seek in this world is short-lived, momentary. Vihangam Yoga gives you the eternal happiness which we are all meant as human beings to achieve. So that is what is the uniqueness of Vihangam Yoga. The technique, the theory comes with the practice, and it's given to all the practitioners. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hemant Kumarji. I'm moving to another question, but before that, I try to relate it with some more other things. When we just listen the 5 different stages of Vihangam Yoga, if we try to analyze it even through our intellect or through our mind and try to understand each and every bits and piece of this, it seems that it's not that easy. It's not that easy for any single person to achieve even 1, 2, or doesn't know 3, 4, 5 when it comes, but it seems to be quite difficult. So does this mean every time we are mentioning, Dr. Hemant Kumarji, you also mentioned, Vijayji, you also mentioned the mercy of Sadguru, the importance of Sadguru is very important. So I'm linking a question to this particular thing. One listener has mentioned that if he is meditating at any other time other than Brahma Muhurt time, does this mean that it would not work? So what I want to connect here is really the importance of Sadguru is prime. Without his mercy, it is not possible. Is it true for each and every stage of Vihangam Yoga meditation? Vijayji, I want to ask this question to you, please.
Yeah, thank you, Subhashi. We have countable breath. We all know that how difficult it is to include even a simple new thing in our daily routine. And here we are talking about experiencing something that you have never done before. So it is pretty obvious. You don't want to leave what is important for your family, for you, and for society and nation. We have certain duties. We are duty bound. But yet, doing everything that is needed to be done, it is through the mercy of Sadguru that we can still attain the experience of Vihangam Yoga. And the reason we need Sadguru mercy is for the fact that we are very busy and At the same time, we are very tiny in this entire gamut of game. We are very tiny element. It is something like if you are in the mud, if you are in the center of the mud, no matter how hard you try, you would only go further deep into the mud. You cannot come out of the mud all by yourself. You need a helping hand. Similarly, for meditation, when you are enslaved of the mind, when you are already enslaved by the mind and you want to control the mind, it is very um, obvious that something who is already controlling you, how can you control that? Something that is already more, uncontrolled, beyond your control, it can come to control only when there is some catalyst, some assistance, some mercy, some blessings from other divine entity. And this is where the mercy of Sadguru come to play. So ideally, in every stage of Vihangam Yoga meditation, it is the gift, I would say, or the boon, I would say, that you know the eternal Sadguru, who is close to everybody, watching everybody, is always there to assist in this process of meditation. That is why Vihangam Yoga is called Guru Mukhi Vidya. Guru Mukhi Vidya meaning it is not Manmukhi, it is not a single human being who have just done some experiment and came up with some new technique, but it is the technique of Sadguru. What Sadguru Dafaldev Maharaj did is just revived it and made it easily available for people to connect to that eternal Sadguru, the energy of eternal Sadguru. These techniques which he has given is not necessarily the same for everybody. In fact, when a already divine and pure soul come in front of Sadguru can directly initiate that divine soul into the higher stage of Vihangam Yoga. He may informally teach the initial stages as well, because anyway he has to go through all the stages, but he will directly establish that soul into the higher stage of Vihangam Yoga. So with this we understand that it is not more on our part to decide which level of meditation we can reach, but it is totally in Sadguru's hand, Sadguru's blessing, Sadguru's wish, based on his own parameter of judgment, which obviously is in terms of how pure we are, how selfless we are, how ego-free we are. Based on that, Sadguru finds the environment conducive for him to pass on his blessings and raise our consciousness directly into a certain stage. So yes, Vihangam Yoga journey is purely driven by the engine of Sadguru energy. We are only the other compartment in that train, but the driver is always the Sadguru.
Thank you very much, Vijayji. Very nicely explained. My next question I would link what Vijayji just ended up with to Dr. Hemant Kumarji. One of the question here is coming. There are of course different stages of Vihangam Yoga meditation, and all of them have different importance and an understanding. But whether a practitioner should focus on the meditation stages or the practice of meditation only. So I think what he basically, the question was put by Mr. Som Prakashji, and he's saying that according to his observation, most of the people are practicing in this world, most of the people are practicing just the first level of meditation, where just to control the mind from the outer sphere. Then in that situation, if there are further more stages, when would they reach out to the second stage? Is it in their own hand? Vijay rightly mentioned here that it's the Sadguru who decides who has to go to which level and when. But still, for a practitioner, it is very important to know and understand whether he should focus on continuous journey of the meditation, or he should focus on which level he is at as well. Hemantji.
Yeah, that's a very insightful question, Subhasji. And I'd be happy to add to that. Uh, See, when you are initiated into a particular level of meditation, let's say most people are into the first stage, but then we need to understand that we are talking about making the base strong. The first stage of Vihangam Yoga is all about control of mind. And all the activities which you take in this world, all the actions which you take is governed through the mind. So the purity of the mind is extremely important. A controlled, a settled mind is important. If you are unsettled, if you're disturbed, of course you're going to disturb the environment, just like the waves of the water. But if the water is less placid and serene, you can see the reflection. So the mind control is extremely important before you get the self-realization. And no wonder Swamiji writes, Prabhu Prasad Sadguru Daya Mana Hoi Swadhin Anya Yukti Koi Nahi Lagi Sadguru Charanadhin. It's the Sadguru's blessings which helps to control the mind. But for that, you need to ensure that the Sadguru Dev, your Guru, is pleased with you. So how do you please? It's not just mere concentration of the technique which you have just learned. That's, of course, is important. Why? Because Swamiji writes that you need to practice meditation morning and evening. We just heard from Vijayji about this, and which we need to do as a disciple. But at the same time, we also need to get into the service, the seva. Swamiji writes, Jo kuch the tum aaj lag, sabhi mitao bhar, pakke shish tab hi bano, deen adheen adhar. So have we surrendered? Have we gained ourselves all our past virtues, all our past life which we have been leading this far? Have we surrendered everything to the master? Are we trying to understand the tenets and philosophies of Vihangam Yoga through the satsang, which is equally important? So one way to move higher up in spiritual path is to surrender yourself. It's important to ensure that the mind is controlled, but merely meditation alone and without doing this service does not help and does not lead into higher up. You need to have the blessings of the master. So it's important that we understand this. And Swamiji, of course, right, which is the most important thing, the love and affection. Parameshwar jivasat hai, amit kaal gaye beet, jivatritaap chhota nahi, bin sadguru mahapreet. So we need to seek the true master, and then we need to surrender, and then we have to make connection with the master. Connection with the meditation technique is important, but connection with the spiritual master, the Sadguru, having a darshan and divine glimpse of the masters is equally important to help progress in spirituality. Thank you very much. Jai Sadguru.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hemant Kumarji. I think it's time now to move towards the closure of this session. Once again, I would like to thank you, Vijayji and Dr. Hemant Kumarji, for joining us today on this wonderful topic to provide some insightfulness. The 5 stages of Vihangam Yoga. This particular topic itself is so vast that includes each and every aspect of Vihangam Yoga, and I really appreciate that we have tried to combine everything together just in this. There are many more things to be talked, there are many more things to be discussed, but probably in future sessions we would pick up these topics again to discuss and describe the 5 stages of Vihangam Yoga. Thank you very much. Anyone who would like to know more about these 5 stages of Vihangam Yoga meditation technique, at least theoretically, and how to practice at least the first stage, please reach out to us either on Slido, put down your number, we would reach out to you, or please drop your message on WhatsApp number +1 64 66 53 4926. We'll reach out to you. Just to summarize quickly today's session, we discussed today about 5 different stages of Vihangam yoga meditation technique, where in the first stage we put our effort to control the mind from the outer sphere, and in the second stage we purify our mind by meditating with the inner help. In the third stage we reach out to the level of 10th door, awakening of the Kundalini. We try to put our effort to awaken that. Once that is happened, then we reach out to the fourth level of Vihangam Yoga stage, where the full consciousness is there. We reach out to the self-realization stage. And at that stage, Sadhguru takes our hand to take us forward towards the fifth stage of Vihangam Yoga, to meet, to realize the Supreme Being. These steps are very easy just in saying, but in terms of experience, it requires lots and lots of efforts, and especially the blessings, the mercy of Sadhguru is important. Pleasing the Sadhguru is very important, which can be done only through service, the seva. With this, we would like to close today. Thank you very much for joining this session. See you again in the next session. Jai Sadhguru.
सदा फल शांति